We're here.
Hi.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
The chicken's doing the happy dance.
Doing
We
a
love
crossover
Flank
polka.
I feel like I should come up with more elaborate dance moves. That's probably good.
Let's see your dance moves.
That's all I got. That's all I got.
Hi.
Hi, ladies.
Hi, everybody.
How you doing?
I feel like I should. I'm like, hi. How are you?
Hey.
Hi.
How you doing? How you doing?
Well, how you doing?
What's happening in Santa Fe?
Well, we got a tiny bit of snow down here. The ski valley got a nice dump, but we only got a couple inches, maybe.
Yeah. I went on a snow walk with the dogs and the kids and the fam today, and at the dirt. We took you to the dirt park, right? Frank Ortiz Park. And it's like this frozen tundra, and the dogs are like crazy.
Nice.
And we're so happy. And then they passed out.
Oh, baby.
Well, it's cold, I have to say. It's really cold out.
Well,
Like
for us Californians, it's cold here for us, spoiled Californians. It was in the 40s, so we're like, oh, it's freezing. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Now that's cold. Yeah, we're not that cold, but we do have.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. It's cold.
Okay, right now, all the people in like North Dakota are like, I beg to differ.
Yeah, not that cold. It's a dry cold.
I know. Well, it could be worse. It could be like Californians that were just spoiled, rotten.
How cold are you? What is it?
We were in the 40s today, so for us, during the day, that's very cold.
Yeah, that's chilly.
We had frost last night, and we have a ton of rain. Just started this afternoon.
Yeah, it'll probably come our way. We need it.
Yeah,
bring it over.
I know. Well, I'm sure it'll head your way. Like that's the direction it goes, right? I'm no meteorologist.
Well, sometimes it spins up north of us, so it'll hit like Colorado and not quite hit us. So hopefully it will hit us.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, you ladies want to cook tonight? Shall we?
Yes. What got going on over there, Missy?
I'm gonna. I need to turn up my volume because I can't hear. Hold on, I forgot.
I wish we could all have dinner together right now because I love flank steak and it just sounds so yummy.
I do too. I love flank steak.
Yeah, so this is my husband Orion's favorite dish, and honestly, he usually makes it. So I am. He's not here tonight. He is driving with our son Jack because Jack got his driver's permit. So he's taking him out around the neighborhood to learn how to drive a little in the rain. So
how cool! That's good.
So that's good. So he's doing that. So I am going to be making this tonight. But I love this too. Chimichurri, if you don't know, is a fantastic parsley based. It's kind of like a pesto, but with parsley and garlic.
Yummy. Oh,
it is an Argentinian staple. Actually, in several South American countries, it's it is there. It's like pesto is to Italy, and they put it on everything. But it's really known for steak because, of course, Argentinians are known for their amazing beef down there. But I love it actually on grilled veggies, and I think actually one of the best ways is just to dip it in bread, like a good and just dip it in. It's so good. And it's super simple. It's something that once you make once, that's it. You're going to be hooked. So we started making it, I don't know, about 10 years ago, and we have it all the time. And now that our stay-at-home order has been lifted, we can at least go, outdoors and some more public places. And although the weather's cold and awful, but we're
so you're out. What does that mean? What's been lifted?
Well, we're in purple still, but it means at least we can do outdoor dining in restaurants, and we can go to some public places. So yeah, it's tricky. And the kids still aren't in school. No school.
Mm.
They're still at home.
Yeah, that's got to happen soon. But
We're hopeful that it'll happen in the next few weeks. So anyway, but this is a great, like, if it's snowy or rainy or awful outside, because this parsley is so good for you. And I tried to think of some herbs that are, I actually still have some parsley growing in my garden. It's so hardy, and you can still buy parsley at the store that's super fresh and still tastes really good. Unlike some of the other, like basils and things that are grown in the Southern Hemisphere, the parsley is still really good and can be grown here, especially in California. So there also is a little bit of oregano in chimichurri. I really swear by using fresh, not dried in this. So, nowadays you can buy these little containers of it. I actually still have a little oregano in my garden, but it was such a wet mess out there. I just got some of it today. Okay. So there are a couple ways to do this. Some say you should do it in your Cuisinart if you want it to be more of a blended sauce. I like it super chunky. So I just chop it all by hand. It takes a little longer. If you're going to do this in the Cuisinart, it's just the same exact thing. You basically just dump everything in and pulse it a few times. But I really like to chop it. I think it gets a better, thicker consistency. And you can really see all the herbs and the peppers in it a little more. I don't know. I just like it that way. So
because you have a nice new knife, that's why.
I just like to show off my fancy knife. That's really why. So if you don't have a fancy new knife, you can use a Cuisinart. And if you don't have a Cuisinart, then you just need to sharpen your knives.
Okay. Someone saying hi, Coronakitchen. Hi, whoever you are.
I think it's okay. So first, your flank steak. What you do is, I always say, take it out of the refrigerator about a half an hour before you're going to cook it. This goes for the grill too. That cold meat can kind of tighten up, and flank steak is very lean. So you got to be really careful that you're not overcooking this, and you don't want it cold when it hits the hot pan, because it's not like other cuts of steak that are going to be super juicy, because it really has very little fat in it. So I like to put just a little bit of salt and pepper, just dust it and just set it aside. And then that way, while you're preparing everything else, it'll be ready for when it's time to cook.
Now, can I ask a question? Flank steak, is it the same as skirt steak?
It is. It just depends where you live, is what they call it. But it basically is the same cut. So the nice thing is it's actually a pretty inexpensive cut of meat. So it's a good weeknight meat. It's a good meat if you have a crowd, socially distanced, of course, and with your mask on, but to feed more people.
Double masks now.
Yeah, it's a little more economical that way. So yes, it is.
Okay.
And
I knew you would know.
Of course. And you know what?
It is.
I thought that was it, but I wasn't sure.
Okay. So we are going to start with the ingredients for chimichurri, essentially, is olive oil, red wine vinegar, parsley, oregano, a little salt and pepper, garlic. And then I like to put a little hot pepper in. So these are leftovers from my garden that are dry. These are my chili jar bowls. But you can use any type of pepper. And if you don't have them whole, you can just put red pepper flakes. It's fine.
I put in jalapeno before.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yep.
Whatever, as far as the spicy part of it goes, go with whatever you're comfortable with. But know that if you're using fresh peppered or dried, they are going to get hotter as time goes on. So if you first put them in and you taste, you're like, oh, it's not that spicy. It's going to take a while for them to either rehydrate or release all their oils. And so just know that it'll get hotter. So don't over spice it if you're a little more sensitive to that. So this, I actually have doubled the recipe. So the recipe I'm going to post is will be what we're doing tonight. But I always like to make more of this because I swear to God, you'll eat it out of a spoon from the jar.
Oh, I love putting it on eggs.
Yeah.
It's mixing it with mayonnaise. It's on sandwiches. Yeah. It's really good.
So don't be afraid to double or even triple a recipe. When I make this for people, if we're having a party, I'll make enough for one of those big mason jars, and then I'll just put little jars of it out. And because there's always, it will last in the fridge for probably another 2 weeks. So I got some chopping to do. So I'm going to stop talking for a second.
You chop away.
Fingers off. So we're going to do a cup of finely chopped parsley. So we're going to start.
And this is doubling it. This is doubling your recipe.
This is the recipe I have, but most recipes call for about half of this. But I am just the recipe I have is so this will give you a nice amount, so you don't have to worry. This will give you enough for your steak and then some. So
amount.
Yeah,
give you a nice amount.
Yeah. So keep chopping. You go one lengthwise, vertical, then horizontal. So you're getting all the. You keep the tip.
You have a method to that?
What?
You have a method for your chopping.
I do. Well, you want to have it even, right? So tip of the knife down and roll. My cutting board is uneven and kind of warped, so it kind of makes a noise every time I hit it, but you get the idea.
Okay.
So we're just going to hand on the flat end here. Chop, chop, chop. Let's see. And for Peggy, we're going to measure this.
Yay! I'm sure she appreciates that.
Okay.
So what are you saying? You're going to put in a cup?
1 cup. Look.
Okay.
See, she doesn't think that I know what I'm doing when I eyeball it. Look at that. I just want to show you.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Spot on.
All right. I'd like 10 points for that, please. Thank you. Okay.
All right. So you got it. 10 points in your corner. Ding, 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 ding.
For those of you keeping score. Okay. So then we're going to chop up the oregano, and we are doing a half a cup of oregano. This I don't think I did.
That's a lot of oregano.
So you're just doing the leafy part. You're not doing the stems, correct?
So this oregano that I got is so.
Oh, I mean the parsley.
Yeah. Yes. Just do the.
Okay.
I mean, you can do a little bit of the stem, but remember, because this is going to be a sauce. If I were going to cook this down, I wouldn't worry so much about the stems. But because this is a condiment, essentially, I don't want to. I don't want a lot of big crunchy pieces. A little bit's okay, but really just use the tops. Use the leaf part.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. So nice amount equals 1 cup.
See?
Indeed.
I'm telling you. All right. Okay, so now our oregano's.
And you're going to do a half a cup of that, which is half of a nice amount?
It's halfway nice. It's not that nice.
Okay.
It's sort of nice. It's kind of nice.
So it's really important you cut up the oregano. I mean, get it as really finely chopped, because unlike the parsley, you don't mind getting a bite of, but oregano is a little sharp. Now, fresh oregano tastes very, it's a lot less pungent than dried. When you dry oregano, it's a lot stronger. So if your store does not have fresh oregano and you substitute dried, you're literally going to need a tablespoon. It's a lot less. Because it's so much stronger.
You want to do it with fresh. You don't want to make this with dry.
You really don't. You really don't. I mean, it's Coronakitchen, and you may have to. Okay, so
you do what you got to do. Okay.
Yeah, okay, so that's our.
Okay, so that's a nice meh amount.
Okay.
Meh.
All right. So that's that.
Are you putting everything in a bowl right now? Okay.
I'm just doing on the counter. Okay. So we're going to use a cup of olive oil.
An actual real cup. A nice amount.
Olive oil.
It's so good. It gets better the longer it sits.
I'm reading my things, and it's not a half a cup of oregano. It's actually a quarter of a cup. I'm wrong.
I thought that was a lot, but everybody likes it differently.
So did you put it in the bowl?
I did, but it wasn't a full half a cup. So, but don't tell Peggy. Okay. So there's a cup of.
You just saw what happened.
Okay.
It'll be
So actually, cup quarter.
Okay,
Yeah,
That's what we got.
Okay.
okay. I'm going to do 4 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. Okay.
Okay.
Wait, let me count.
I love a good red wine vinegar.
Me too. So it's really important to use red wine vinegar, and I'm not quite sure why, but it just tastes different if you don't. So, I like to say there are substitutions for this, but maybe white wine vinegar would be a substitution, but don't use rice or apple cider or any of that. It's not going to taste the same. So try to put the red wine if you can. Okay, so we're going to do 5 cloves of garlic.
Yum.
We're going to really finely chop this too. Although my husband likes I'm going to put this here. I'm just going to make a mess here. I'm going to put that there. My husband likes it garlicky. So we're going to.
Well, it's interesting because, parsley is supposed to freshen your breath. So you kind of get that balance of the parsley and the garlic in there.
It'll help.
That's definitely something to think about. I forgot about that. Yeah.
What?
Everybody's got to eat this. If they don't, you're going to really be bummed. So it's just one.
Yeah, that's it. Everybody puts it on their steak, right? That's the rule.
Garlic. If they don't, you're going to be really lonely. Okay.
In a way, it's kind of just like a really thick salad dressing when it comes down to it.
It is.
Yeah.
What's nice about the vinegar, because I love vinegars. I that's like one of my favorite flavor profiles. But the vinegar makes it kind of tangy, and with meat, I just think it's such a nice compliment. Okay, so we're really.
I love vinegar too.
My vinegars and salts. I'm a vinegar and salt person.
It's all that sauerkraut when we were younger.
I like the vinegar they have at Trader Joe's. That's orange muscat vinegar. Have you had that? That's really one of my favorite vinegars. I hope you know how they are. They carry it, you fall in love with it, and then they don't carry it anymore.
And then it's gone.
It's gone.
Hey, Hollie, Dad could make vinegar. Why has he never made vinegar?
Yeah, why has he never made vinegar?
You have to be, when you have a winery, you have to be very, very careful. You can't make vinegar in the same location because you don't want the vinegars interact.
Because it's bad marketing?
No, because you don't want any of the vinegar interacting with any of the wine. So several years ago, I was looking to use some of his wines to make vinegar. And when I was talking to his winemaker, she said, we cannot have any vinegar on the premises, anywhere near the wines. So I was like, okay.
Oh, wow. Well, I learned something there.
You can, you just take wine and you add the mother, vinegar to it and stick it in a bottle, and a couple months later, voila.
Can't you just get some and make it at your house?
I could, but I need more projects, don't I? I need more projects.
Okay. Well, here, I'll put in my bid. My favorite vinegar of all is pomegranate vinegar.
Ooh, that's good.
I love pomegranate vinegar. So if you're ever in the mood.
I don't know if I've ever had it. I don't.
They used to have it at Trader Joe's.
So a lot of those fruity vinegars, they're actually just infusing, like taking a fruit concentrate and adding it to the vinegar. They don't use they don't make a juice of it like they do, like
Well, this is how I substitute. I add pomegranate molasses to a vinegar.
Wow.
Molasses is a really good tip. That's such a great ingredient. Okay, so I've spent a lot of time chopping this. This is why
I know. We're just chatting while you chop.
Someone's saying you make salt and vinegar potato chips. I have never done that.
I haven't either, but boy, it's my favorite.
Is that a challenge?
I could eat, full disclosure, I could eat an entire bag of salt and vinegar potato chips in one sitting, no problem.
Yeah.
It is a problem. That's the problem. Okay. So
it is. I try not to buy them because I will eat
pretty
them.
finely.
I have some in my house right now.
Woo! It smells like a factory in here. Okay. So that's our, so we've got the olive oil, the red wine vinegar, the parsley, garlic. Ooh, our chilies. Okay. So
how about salt?
Someone's asking a really good question, and this is a detailed answer. Is balsamic the same as red wine vinegar? No.
So
balsamic is a whole other animal.
Well, I think whoever you are, person, you need to go to like a vinegar store. Like we have a couple of olive oil and vinegar shops here. And if you take a stroll through one of those, you will have your mind blown about vinegar.
Yeah. Well,
balsamic, are you going to talk about it? Go ahead.
I can. Go ahead, because so I don't cut my fingers off.
Balsamic is traditionally made from Modena, Italy. This is what I know. And it's the same kind of thing you're talking about, where they have the mother, which is the, like when you're making kombucha or sourdough, you have that original bit of the vinegar, and it's made in these special casks, and it has to age for I don't know how many years. And it's a really special.
Well, they're aged different times. Right. So like when you go into the vinegar store, oh, it's Stroudy. Oh, Stroudy. Go into the vinegar store. You will have your mind blown. They let you taste them all. And it depends on how many years the vinegar is aged. The balsamic can be, it's just like wine.
It is as detailed as wine. It is as detailed as wine, for sure.
We also use grape must in balsamic as well. But it does, the longer it ages, the more syrupy it gets.
Yes.
I mean, I have a vinegar here, balsamic that's 20 years old, and it's my favorite, and it costs $30 for a bottle this big, and I swear to God, it's worth every single.
So good.
You just need
Yes, you can put that kind of vinegar on ice cream. It's so good.
It's delicious. It's really delicious. So balsamic, I think, when you buy the less expensive ones, like the ones at Trader Joe's, it's really not true balsamic. All real balsamics are made in Modena, Italy, and they do have that syrupy quality to it. Now they make ones that they add thickener to them, or they add a lot of grape must, and it's very liquidy, and they call it balsamic. It's not really balsamic, but so I think if you're gonna use it, you can really invest in something good, and you just need a little bit. Like that $30 bottle lasts us 2 months, so it's not we're going and I do use it kind of spare. It's the special vinegar, but it really does make the difference in a meal when you're using it, when you're using the good stuff. So if you want to,
I encourage people to buy different levels of it, and when you buy the one that says from Modena, Italy, you can tell the difference, and you just have to experiment with it, because you want to do glazes with it and different things, reductions, all kinds of cool stuff. So it's fun.
Yeah.
Okay. We got the Hollie salt tonight. I'm actually going to put my lime, mint, and pepper in here. So we're going to do a teaspoon of that. And then we're going to do, she's going to make me sneeze. Woo!
We're the same way. I sneeze at pepper every single time.
Oh, really? That's so funny.
So I finally chopped 2 of my little chili de arbos and put them in here. So that's in.
So this, I don't know, this is Patty Strauss, but I think they're asking, I have balsamic and was wondering if I could use it instead of red wine vinegar with the chimichurri. No. Okay. No.
This is not, balsamic is inherently sweet, and you don't want sweet in this. This is not a sweet flavor profile. And plus you want high acidity. You don't, and balsamic does not have, good balsamic does not have a high acidity to it. So you need the acid to this. So I would say if you're going to substitute anything for the not having red wine vinegar, I would put lemon juice. That would be best.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is ready to rock and roll. We're just, oh my God, it smells so good. Yummy. Okay. So I did put the salt, and I put just a tiny bit of fresh ground pepper. And there we go. There's our beautiful chimichurri.
It's so simple. And this is called chimichurri verde, and there's also chimichurri rojo, right? Mm-hmm. So what is it? How do you use the rojo kind? What's the difference?
Peppers, yeah. Okay. So this should ideally sit for at least 10 minutes before you use it, just to try to marinate it. Honestly, you could set it aside for a half an hour is really ideal. But it's going to take us now. I have 2 flank steaks, and they're about 4 minutes on each side. So I'm just going to set this aside at room temp. It's fine for now. Once we're done, just make sure this is just a kitchen hygiene thing. If you're adding it to your steak with the spoon you use it, don't touch the steak, and then put it back in your bowl if you're going to use more of this sauce. So just be mindful of where your spoons are going. So if you're going to save some of this, just be careful when you're spooning it not to touch any raw meat or anything else when you're doing it. Not that we're going to put it on after, but I just try to. I think people don't think about contaminating. So when you make extra sauce and things, it's just really important that your utensils and how you're using things don't get contaminated potentially, because the last thing you want to do is have some salmonella or something in a sauce that's sitting in your refrigerator. So that's not good. That'll make you sick. It's no good. Dobro, as they say in Croatia. Okay, so we're going to heat up our cast iron. Let's see if you guys can see that.
Now, if you weren't rainy, you would put it on a grill.
Yes, this is, it's really funny. My husband loves barbecue, so he cooks a lot on the grill. But I do like using the cast iron for steak, and actually a better cut of steak, I think, can taste just as good in a cast iron as it can on the grill. I know there are people that will think that is absolutely blasphemous to say, but I do think a nice seasoned cast iron can actually produce a really great steak. So,
well, the real difference I think in when you're grilling something outside is if you actually have like a smoke flavor in the charcoal or in the wood. That really changes it up. So to do a grill pan in the house, I don't think is that much different. I would agree with you. It's the wood chips that give it flavor.
It does. Well, and it is a little bit of this cooks it evenly because it's a flat surface. The grill, you have the grate, so sometimes you get some variation, but that can be good.
Yeah, I have a grated one.
So it just depends. So we're gonna have this on medium high. We want the pan to be nice and hot before we put the steak in. So I've got it cranked up now, but once it gets hot, we're gonna turn it down to medium high. So it won't be on full high the whole time. There's Jack.
Holly, you don't know this, but Debrianna and I had a full-blown cutting board discussion. And about how many different cutting boards we have. And someone's asking, does Holly have 12 different cutting boards too? And
I have a couple. I do. So I prefer wood for, almost everything. But I do have a different cutting board. I have two cutting boards. One's for fish that we just use just for fish. And then
Hi, Mom.
Yeah. And then, that's pretty much it. I think the nice thing about a wood cutting board is that, you clean it with lemon juice and salt and scrub. That's some old Martha Stewart and Franny, our mom's way of doing it, really to get rid of any bacteria. But the fish one we use is plastic so that it can really get into some hot soapy water. So it could be clean. Okay. So, but it is good to have.
Well, I'm just sitting here, and if I look around my kitchen, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cutting boards just in my eyesight.
I have 5 in my view right now too. They're just out.
It's a working kitchen.
The thing is to clean them frequently. I think people don't think to clean your cutting board, but it really is important to do because it can build up bacteria a lot, especially in the grooves. But I remember watching a cooking show years ago, and they did sort of a wood versus plastic. And actually the wood ended up being better because it's more porous and bacteria actually gets absorbed in it as opposed to plastic that stayed. So, a good wooden cutting board, invest in one. I have this one and I have a bamboo one, and those are sort of my workhorses. And then I have a bunch that are more for serving or for sort of special occasions because I just think they're so pretty. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I just put a tiny bit of olive oil in here just to season the pan. And I'm going to take my flank steak out. This guy's ready to go. So I've already put just a dusting of salt and pepper on this. And I have 2 of them here because my family can.
Because you have big family.
That's going to be so good.
Meat, so I'm going to go wash my hands.
Mm-hmm. Raw meat.
Yes. I also like the rub they have at Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
I have some good rubs there.
I mean, you've done it very simply, Holly, but you could rub some more stuff on there.
You know, here's the thing with me about meat. I'm not a huge red meat eater, but if you have good quality meat and this chimichurri sauce, you don't want to muck it up the flavor profile. So this is a very specific flavor profile, and you don't need to over season it. So that's why I just did a tiny little bit of salt and pepper, because the chimichurri is going to do all the heavy flavor lifting. So you don't need to have a bunch of stuff on the meat. If you're just doing the meat on its own and you're having, with some sides or whatever, then I would definitely season more. You could use the chimichurri as a marinade because it has the vinegar in it. It is going to cook it a little bit because that's an acid. So I wouldn't marinate it for longer than 30 minutes, 15 minutes in the fridge because it'll start to break down the meat. But I just think you got to be careful not to have competing flavors. This is going to be really good. And then as soon as we put the chimichurri on it, it's just going to take it to the next level. It's going to be delicious. So no need to go crazy. But
unless you want to.
If it's good quality, and if you're buying a really expensive piece of meat, you shouldn't be marinating it. You shouldn't be doing any of that. Honestly, it's salt and pepper. And a really good steak is really because the meat should shine, not all the seasoning. That's just my personal opinion. So if you have a good person at the farmer's market that sells really high quality beef and you want to splurge, don't over season it. Let the meat shine, just cook it right.
So how long are you cooking?
It's about 4 minutes on each side. This steak is about, I'd say, 1 inch maybe thick. And you really don't want to touch it too much, so I'm not going to fuss with it. Just so it really gets, a good sear on it. So
are you going to rest it after?
Yes, it's really important to rest your meat after to let the heat come down. And it will actually, this steak, I'm gonna cook it on each side, and I'll really let it rest for at least 10 to 15 minutes before we serve. So the good news is that gives our chimichurri plenty of time for all the flavors to marry, and especially that garlic and to release into the olive oil and the hot peppers to release their oils too. So
will you put it on top when it's resting, or it goes on the side?
What I'm going to do is I'll take a photo. Is that so meat, you slice against the grain, so it's lengthwise here, and then you're going to go, you're going to slide on, cut it on the diagonal, and then actually I just wait till we serve. So if I were going to put this on a platter for for people, I'd put the beef down, and then I'd pour the chimichurri on top. But I'll do this individually on plates for my kids and my husband. And so I'll put the meat down, and then I'll just take a spoon and just give it a generous spoonful on it. And then we're going to do some roasted potatoes, and I have string beans, because that's what we have in the fridge. So we'll do those for sides. And you're going to want to put a little sauce on those too, because it's so good.
Okay, so when you rest it, are you going to tent it?
No. With skirt steak, some people say you should tenderize skirt steak a little bit and hit it, or you should cut little slices, little holes in it to tenderize a little bit. It's really up to you. I think if you eat it medium rare, you don't need to do that. You really eat skirt steak medium or well done, because it'll start to taste like beef jerky. Yeah. All right. So we're going to go ahead and flip this. So we got some nice, this is what I love about cast iron. I mean, we didn't do anything, and we've got this beautiful caramelized color on it. And I've just been standing here. So it's awesome.
Just make sure you stand there with someone you can talk to for 4 minutes.
So, and that's it. So we're on medium high. It's really cranking now. It's hot. But again, the way you can feel it is you can just take it and kind of, you want it to be a little squishy. You don't want it to be too hard in the middle. And that's something you learn over time. I asked my husband that, how does he know that when he's on the barbecue? And he says he just from doing it over and over again. Yeah. So Yeah, you'll get it. But for timing wise, right now, 4 minutes on each side to be plenty for. These are both.
And that'll give you like a medium rare.
That'll do a medium rare, and these are both about a pound. Within a few ounces, about a minute.
Okay.
And there you go.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you.
That's it.
So don't forget, I've been scrolling down there.
Yes.
Don't forget the recipe contest, you guys.
Yes.
And
I want your recipe. Come on. Let's see them.
yeah, we need them. And then I have Hollie's website down there for y'all too. So you can check out her salts and vinegars and oil.
Homegrown.com. And last but not least, we want to thank all of the people in the last 24 hours who have donated to the cookbook campaign. Thank you so much.
Thank
you.
You
know, we're getting there. We're getting there. We're tugging along. We always say, you know, okay, now we have like something like 68 donors or something as of today. But we've got almost 3,000 members. So if everybody gave $5, seriously, $5, we would be meeting our goal in a second. So if you haven't had a chance to go to our GoFundMe, it's on the link on the page on Facebook. Please do. We'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the question. I'm going to answer it. Doesn't it continue to cook when it's resting? If it has a bone in it, it absolutely does.
It does.
When you're resting a piece of meat like a flank steak, which has no bone, basically what you're doing, and this is the same for any, whether it has a bone or not too, all the juices kind of go back in and the meat tightens up a little bit. So when you cut it, like you don't want all the juices to run out.
Right.
And that's what happens if you cut it when it's hot.
That's a good sign. That first slice, all of a sudden, it's like a gusher of juice. Just leave it. You know, you cut it too early. So, but it's not, you know, again, this is not the French Laundry. It's all going to be okay, you know. So, I mean, my kids will eat. If I put this chimichurri sauce like on a 2x4, they would eat it. So don't stress about it. You know, it's gonna be
well, but you don't recommend eating 2x4s. I'm just saying.
Everybody needs protein in their diet. You know, it's important.
Fiber, yes. Well, thank you so much, Miss Hollie.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for hanging out with us.
I wish I could beam myself.
So good.
Wear your mask.
Thanks, everybody.
All your masks
Stay
all
safe.
the time.